So we have a lot of people who are watching and will continue to watch this, both in the real estate industry and who may be looking at either moving or purchasing real estate themselves. So Dennis, I'm going to combine a question that we had and also one that somebody has on here.
Sure.
Do you see the real estate market cooling off in the coming months, and is it only tied to COVID? And second to that, if the homes market if homes are in such high demand right now, do you worry about inflation in this market?
Yeah, that's quite a doozy of a question. It's definitely something that has been discussed heavily amongst our realtors in our association. I think it's important to recognize that even the most competent experts that are working in this environment, it's a lot of completely unknown variables. This, how many people have experienced a pandemic environment at this level? So even the experts that are putting their forecasts out and saying things, it's kind of just a guess. So with that disclaimer out there, no matter where you look for your national real estate resources, whether it's realtor.com or Redfin or Zillow, Tampa Bay is projected to experience year-over-year growth in both price and sales of about 7 to 8% in 2021, making it one of the greatest appreciations expected in the U.S. metro market. So that is outstanding. Also, the competitive market that we're seeing right now with multiple buyers, this is probably likely to continue despite the inevitable creeping up of the interest rates as the economy bounces back. There's a recent survey done by Redfin, and 44% of the respondents said that if mortgage rates rise above 3.5, it would have no impact on their purchase decision. And only 10% of them said they would cancel their plans. That is really great news for the industry, really great news for the forecasts. And in regard to COVID-19, I think COVID-19 has really made us appreciate our homes. It's made us reevaluate what we look at, where we want to live, the amenities that we value. And this inventory problem that we're in that's been exacerbated by COVID, inventory shortages are not something that's new to real estate. Even prior to the pandemic, we were still sitting in about a 3-month supply of inventory, which is still considered a shortage. So that was happening before the market, and it's likely to just continue on. So those are really good indicators. Whenever the pandemic is finally past and we're done, whatever that might be, I still personally believe that property ownership and home ownership will continue to be the single best way to build wealth. And that is historically something that has always been, and I feel that it always will be. And I think your best bet is working with a realtor, because a realtor is going to help you navigate through this post-pandemic market that have so many unknowns. They're going to be on top of all these metrics. They're going to be there to give you the advice that you need to get the best property or whatever you might be looking for. And the strong demographics that help fuel the real estate market during the pandemic are probably going to continue after the pandemic as well, and possibly even strengthen further. So that should really help drive the real estate sales across the Tampa Bay area. To follow up on the second question from the audience in terms of inflation, now I'm not a PhD economist, but our association consults with Elliot Eisenberg, who is a PhD economist, and he looks at our analytics and our metrics that come from Florida Realtors. And in his last report that he did for us, he does not see a concern for inflation. He sees a modest spike of inflation that would just not have an impact on home sales. Now, because of this, and I'm trying to think back to the video that I watched, it's because of things that are tied to the past. If you think back to previous times where there was major inflation in the 70s, a lot of it was because the contracts for the unions were linked to the cost of living adjustments, and we're not seeing that now. So that's another thing that's in the favor of this. Also, before the pandemic started, we had record low pricing for gas, and for everything that we saw was record low. So as inflation does start to creep up a little bit, we're going to see things go back probably to where they were before at such a low rate. So again, without a crystal ball, there's no way to say, but from the experts that we consult with, we don't feel that inflation is going to be a problem in the near future.
I also don't have a PhD, but I can tell you as a person that lived in San Francisco for 10 years, I think that we're coming off of an incredibly small base. And that's just, when you compare the quality of life in this region to what you get in other parts of the country, it's really no comparison. And I would also say from 10 years ago when I arrived here to now, it's a very different community. The level of culture, the level of entertainment, and the number of new businesses, from pharmaceuticals to high technology to you name it, it's here. And so I think that you're going to continue to see, even if you put out, a don't come sign, people are going to come. The momentum is here. And I think that, with the mayor's leadership and all of the leaders in our region, we're open arms, come on down.
Chris brings up an excellent point in that 10 years ago, our local economy was vastly different than what it is today. We were a largely service-driven economy. Hospitality and tourism were like the main anchors of the economy. You look at our economy today, but we have a significant financial services sector. Life sciences now has taken off. We actually even have a manufacturing cluster that's building and growing. In fact, over half of the leads that are in our pipeline are from manufacturing types of projects. Those are good paying jobs with strong capital investment, which builds our tax base. So moving forward, I think with the continuation of the diversification of our local economy, it stands to reason that we should continue that demand for good quality residential projects, which actually gives a lot of people even more reason to come here and call Tampa home.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just even add one more thought. I happen to be a statistics nut, but what a lot of people find hard to believe, for everything that was said here is absolutely correct. So if you look at all the job growth, population growth, those are where housing is going to be. So it's going to continue here. But what's amazing from the Great Recession that we had in 2008, housing recession, what a lot of people don't realize is that the oversupply that was built during that time was actually absorbed in 2 or 3 years. And our production, housing production, never fully recovered. And I think National Association of Home Builders have done this study, ULI has a study, and the housing is actually 3 million units undersupplied. So housing is really never caught up. And I think, so the fact that housing's never caught up, the 50-year average of interest rates actually is over 5.5%. So we got a lot of runway. The fact that Tampa is going to be a net migration increase from other cities, with all those factors, it bodes so well, in my view, of having a nice runway as we continue on.
That's very interesting. I hadn't heard that information.
Yeah. A lot of people, when I share it, are fascinated and nice, and it's never recovered.
Yes, it will now.
Yeah.